is your program, The Review, a place where we take a closer look at what is happening in the country and we review it and also try to make a sense out of what is happening. Today, we are still on this particular pandemic that everybody is discussing and everybody is speaking to. And this is a pandemic we cannot wait for it to end because it affects young, old, fortunate, and the less fortunate people in the society. And it's almost like a world thing. And today in the studio to be discussing this particular issue with me is engineer Jibril Ibrahim. Welcome to the review, sir.
Thank you very much.
Today, first of all, we are going to go on updates around the country and also in the world and help you make a sense as an individual in Nigeria of what is happening, the way out, and the implications for you right at home. Lots of things have been happening. We've seen some people that they exemplify the very good humanitarian gesture to the world by donating to our country, donating to the individuals, NCDC, and a host of other people. So now it seems the entire world, we are coming together, we are trying to do what we can do for ourselves, for all of us to survive this particular pandemic. What can you say about people donating, celebrities, rich people, politicians, donating so that, because the government definitely cannot deal with this alone. We've heard that someone like Jack Ma, the CEO of Alibaba, has donated some things to us. Atiku said he's going to donate 50 million naira. Tonya Yemaku, even an actress, she has just donated 300,000 naira and calling out on our colleagues to try as much as possible to alleviate the sufferings of the people. So what is your take on donations like this at a trying time like this?
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here again for today's session of the review. I think one of the things about this pandemic is what the humanity in us that it forces us to exhibit, it brings out in us. Really, at the end of the day, it's about those that are strong supporting the weak, those that are in government leading, supporting those that are following. So it definitely makes a lot of sense to have Jack Ma all the way from China, and his donation is not just to Nigeria. There are shipments that are received in Ethiopia, South Africa is receiving, Ghana is receiving, Sierra Leone is receiving, Nigeria has received. So it's really a gesture of humanity to have somebody that understands what they need. And the interesting thing here is that Jack Ma is looking at what is actually needed. So it's not even the cash. He didn't send cash across, but he sent in test kits. He sent in protective gears. He's sending a lot of hardware that we need.
That is needed.
These are gestures that are natural for those that have. So we have the likes of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar also donating 550 million naira. At least that's what he mentioned in his tweet. And it might look small for what we believe that he might have, but it's the gesture. If all these rich people, or all the people that we think that they are rich, and everybody is chipping 5 million and 10 million to,
and at least even starting something is one of the first people we've seen, politicians.
So let's see more people dropping 5 millions and 10 millions and 100 millions, and then the thing will gain momentum.
And
so I think it's a very smart
with this article you've just mentioned, it shows that Julius Nyerere championed in what he called the Ujamaa, that is what most people call the global village now. It's like all of us now, we are all together on this. No political division, no tribal division, most especially in a country like Nigeria. I think this is one of the things that brought all of us together as a person to see how we can help people and help ourselves. So
you see that what that does is it's a leveler, essentially. The chief of staff of the president got sick. He needs to go to Gwagwalada Teaching Hospital or Lagos. We are not even sure where he is of the two. But whatever it is, he needs to go to an hospital here. So it's a sign that it's bringing everybody down to earth. Everybody needs to stay at home. Everybody needs to
be within the facility.
Yes,
facility. And like you mentioned, I think it was yesterday they said in the news that they've sent maybe a mail. They've just sent something to get his medical records from London. That means this kind of class, they don't even have a direct link with our facilities, except the key ones, like they still have to ply our roads if they can't go on air. So, what are the implications on these kind of things? You don't use our schools, your children's school abroad. You don't use our medical facilities. The You go abroad for medical facilities. You don't ply our roads when it comes to intrastate, not the interstate, not intrastate. So, what are the implications on the kind of governance we have in Nigeria, that our leaders don't use our facilities, they rather go abroad?
Well, I would have preferred we, focus on the issue with respect to the COVID and the donations that have been made. Because the obvious thing is, if this thing forces everybody to come to them, but historically this is part of the problem facing this country. A lot of people feel aloof from what is on ground because they can create alternatives for themselves.
That's
But
where I'm going. That what is now we are in the era of COVID-19 where you cannot get something elsewhere except your place. Do you see us investing more in our health center, in our health sector, better? Maybe from this time we learn a lesson when we bounce back from this.
hopefully,
Also, except from donations, we've seen lots of shutdowns. In though the shutdowns are not just, it's not a too serious shutdown. It's not as if we are just going from 0 to 100. We've seen some states, they are shutting down some of their activities, like a place like Abuja and in Lagos. The malls that sells food, pharmaceutical stuff are the only ones opening. Just generally, and in a state like Kaduna, you can see the governor of Kaduna saying the train can no longer come pick people from Kaduna and cannot bring people to Kaduna. Airlines are stopped. Before we were still, the ban was just on planes moving outside the international flights, but now even the local flights also. I think the last of them said they will stop today, which is Thursday. What you see are people really getting prepared for this and really trying to fight it in the best way they can.
yeah, a lot is happening with every serious governor or states trying to slow down the movement so that the spread can be contained. Because it's similar to what is happening in Kwara State. Kwara State does not currently have any confirmed case, but the governor is being proactive enough to shut down markets, shut down schools, and I think even local transport, interstate transports, and place like the funny place is what's it called? Niger State. I hear Niger State announced almost like a curfew and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. no movement. So we have reports of people needing, if you ask to go and buy something or to go to a mall, they tell you no, come at 5 p.m. or 8 p.m. whichever. I think there was a pushback to 5 p.m. And that reveals one thing that I'm concerned about. If we say shut down, for how long can we shut down? Shut down so I should not go and buy food. But I'm
For how long
hungry.
can we
For how
survive?
long can I continue to shut
Survive
down?
that
So
kind
there
of
must
shutdown.
definitely be windows. And now look at the Niger State example, for example. If they say 8 to 8 or even 8 to 5, that means everybody will rush out at 5.
You see, what you are
And then
preventing
you
is
have
still
the
happening.
same social congestion and not you not have the same interaction that we're trying to prevent. But I think generally the states that are shutting down, locking down, whatever the terminology might be, it's really worthy of note. River State, um, Kaduna States, at least the ones we know of, Niger
Lagos,
State,
Abuja.
Lagos, Abuja, Oyo to some extent, and stuff like that. All these are positive things that people, I believe, should respect and work with.
That's very good. If we now let's move from some of these states and go specifically. I think this is a time where religious leaders are in tandem with the government on the issue, because Khan came out, follow what the government says, follow the directive, and Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs said the same thing. What level of compliance can has one seen from these two big umbrella bodies for all religious gatherings in the country?
Essentially, I cannot speak really for the level of authority and control that these umbrella bodies have over the units, because they did not set them up. So it's largely out of respect. That's why you can see what people really fear, I think, is more of the police, the enforcement ability of the government than the umbrella bodies. Because you see how churches that see opened, you see how mosques that see opened. Like the mosque in my place, see opened the night before, 2 nights ago. But fortunately, by the morning, they opened, the Shah was prayed in massive congregation. But by Fajr, there was no adhan. There was even no adhan at
No
all.
call
And
to
there was
prayer
no
at all.
call to prayer and everything. So I think it's really a good thing that the community, from the religious side, from the civil side, from the media side, from the government side, everybody should be working together to push one agenda, which is slow down the system, slow down the rate of infection, and then let's have
You
a
just
general
mentioned
smooth.
working around one agenda. As a host of people are coming together to work around one agenda, if you have someone destroying such move, for example, no, we still have to come, we believe in our God, we do this, we do that. What should be the option for the government?
Definitely, there is there has to be enforcement. Without enforcement, even this so-called coming together is because somebody is holding the big stick. We have seen a few religious institutions that did not, like in
Comply?
Ekiti, that did not comply. They were still like open, and people were picked up. So it's obvious that apart from the threat of the virus itself, if there is a clear threat of somebody with a big stick that is going to smack you on the head, there is a likelihood of. So maybe if you see, I would think, at least for institutions, I mean, individuals can be a bit more difficult, but for institutions, religious bodies, religious institutions, shopping mall that you can clearly identify, if they are not shut down, then some scapegoat needs to be quickly made so that everybody is clear that this is serious business.
I think with what you've just said, yesterday we got an info that a school here in Abuja, because they run a boarding house, their students were still in, but the government showed a lot of seriousness. They moved in and they used the big stick, like you said. And some religious leaders that they know that they have serious followership. Like today on Facebook, I watched that the chief imam of our land having a conference with the League of Imams and Alpha, telling them, stop your madrasa, stop, because this is, he said we are at war, basically. And when you are at war, even when the prophet was at war, they said, this batch we pray first. So you have to look for means for you not to have, for you to deal with that particular problem. Now we'll be going on a break, and when we come down, we'll be going to some more specific things different from the update. This is your program, The Review. I hope you stay glued to your screen till we come after this short break. Thank you. Thank you for staying glued to your screen during our break. We are back, and I told you we'll be going into more specific issues. A lot of people are scared. Employers are scared the same way employees are scared. Employers are scared on how to get money to pay the salaries of their members of staff, the same way Employers are also scared, and employees are scared whether they are going to get paid. And this is the payment time. This is the end of a month like March. And with the data we've gotten from across the world, it seems this thing might enter into April. Employers are scared. Engineer Jibril, you are an employer. What is your plight? What are the problems you are facing as an employer during this time no one planned for?
Um, it's obvious everything is shutting down as so customers are not there. It's not even safe to go out there. It's not even this is not the time. So essentially, businesses are shutting down. Um, for business as a whole, I think there are various categories, there are various layers of contracts and staff status. When I think it's a time for a lot of businesses and individuals to look at their contract terms and be able to separate who is a contract worker and how do you deal with contract workers, who is a permanent employee, so that you have issue of sick leave, issues of unpaid leaves, and just the various escalation levels. Because government employees now are not scared because government has to pay. Government owes them the money based on the terms of their contract. So, but from the private sector at employers SME kind of levels, I think we have a lot of people that are actually contractual. The employment status are actually contract, which makes it easier for the employers to shut things down without much consequences. But those are some of the challenges. Now, I should make it more difficult. For example, one will say, okay, that means it will have been better to have better labor laws and everything surrounding to protect employees at these kind of times. But it's not there. And even where those kind of terms might be there, you would need the government to step in at this kind of time. For example, in UK, 80% of the wages of people that can be officially tracked that they are being affected by COVID-19 related issues are being paid by government. Not the guy that did not earn the money, or that not the people that did not do the work, or the revenue that did not come in. So government intervention goes directly to such. But that is possible because there is a lot of information. They have enough information to track who is doing what, and they have the data of their staffs. They have enough data to be able to make interventions. But in Nigeria, where we hardly have data for anything, there is the government cannot tell us how many business SMEs are functional in Nigeria. That's even the ones that are registered, not to talk of the informal ones that just have, I open a shop, a barbering salon, and I put 5 people there. Government does not even know you or your barbering salon.
For SMEs, what you are saying is the only way out for them is if the federal government intervenes.
The most likely way is if the federal government intervenes. That's the way the employees or the system can be sustained. Alternative to that will be shutdowns and impact on people. And for how long can that last?
Now I think you've spoken on the side of the employees. Yeah. Now, as an employer, as a business owner, what is your plight? What are the things you are going through currently? What are the impediments this has caused?
This is obvious that business has to shut down, and I've always been an advocate of how internet ready, how digital are businesses. With or without COVID, any business that cannot be transacted, that cannot be supported digitally, that cannot be online, that cannot be serviced without minimal number of people being physically on site, that business is not compliant to the 21st century. So essentially, we've been working on how to make our business doable without being physically there. So we might be able to run, not 100% shutdown kind of things, and see what can be done without physical, presence.
Maybe let me go into some specifics. For example, if we go into people owning airlines, now the international flights, they've been banned like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Now even local flights are gone already. Those working there, and if passengers don't come pay, you can definitely not earn money. So now they are not earning, and there's no way, I don't know if you have a way that they can work online. Because there was this comedy kit that came up, and the pilot was saying, today I'll be working I will be working from home. We know that was just a joke, but that is impossible for people who own airlines. What are the options they have?
There are businesses that are just purely physical. They can be supported heavily by digital tools, like the booking a ticket, booking your flights and stuff. Some of these things can be done digitally.
Online.
But the essence of that business is to move people physically from point A to point B. So even if you are not there, if you use robots or you use even if your aircraft is unmanned, people need to physically get in there, and the aircraft needs to physically move them. So
So it's
such
like buying like
businesses,
4 seats if you don't really want to socially distance yourself, which
such,
is
such businesses that are purely physical can be done. But there are a lot of services that might not be physical. I mean, you have schools, for example. You have food. Food, you can cook your food here, and somebody place an order in another location, and you just have a delivery person drop it at the person's front and go back.
And leave.
So there will be no interaction that will endanger anybody.
and you can pay online
So
definitely.
and you can pay online. So a business that has invested in making itself online would not have this virus. Except we have a coronavirus that attacks the internet too, because virus attacks physical and there are
No,
viruses
so
for the digital
for
world
the
also.
digital.
So except we get into virus that are going online, that is a place that, even like we're talking about barbing. Barbing now, I need to cut my hair, but I don't want to go to a barbing salon. What if I can place an order for a barber to come, so that by the time he comes, you go through
You
whatever
sanitize, use
sanitization.
face
It's a
mask.
specific, it's a one-on-one thing. The isolation and social distancing issue is to prevent untraceable interactions. So if interactions are limited to one person, it's clearly traceable. You can clearly, sanitize. You can
You
do
can take
everything. You can
enough
take
precautions.
So I don't have to go out. I can place a call, get a barber to come in. You see, I'm concerned about us really shutting down. It will be so difficult. It will be too many people will be doing nothing. I don't see how that can be sustained if this thing drags beyond 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. It looks to me like it will break if there is nothing done beyond a certain point.
Most especially in a country where infrastructures are not fully in place. You mentioned schools just now. We know schools, definitely, they were even the first to go. Everybody go home. They have issues with curriculum. WAEC is supposed to start in April, run through May, NECO, etc. Thank God most of the JAM candidates, they've written their test and they've seen their results. Children are at home currently. Parents are at home currently. Teachers are also in their various houses. For schools, what are the online options for them to interact with their students? How can parents engage their students in a productive way so that students preparing for WAEC, NECO, that they were operating a very parvelous schedule in the school on reading and this? What is your advice to the parents, and how can schools interface with their students that are still at home?
You see, first and foremost, my own interests, one of the things I'm attracted to with this condition is a lot of parents have said a lot of things about what they expect from the schools and what's not. But this is a chance for that to happen, for you to see who your child is. You are stuck with your child now for the next few weeks. You are stuck with each other. So if you can instill some things that you always wanted to instill, this is a chance. You are going to be at home. Your children will be at home. The urbanization of societies and families has done a lot of tearing of people apart. Everybody wakes up in the morning, 80% of the year, go out and meet again in the night. So the productive part of the day is spent outside. The father spends it at work, mother spends it at work, the child spends it at school.
They
But
mix
now,
with
they don't have time to build what is called that family identity. But this now is a chance for that family, if the father, as the head of a home,
is at home.
knows that he has an idea, he has an agenda for his family, this is a chance for him to try to implement it. You see, a lot of people had outsourced parenting and child upbringing and value transfer to schools, and then we complain when the schools are not doing it. Now the situation is forcing us and giving us a chance to look at it, evaluate the children, and try to deal with some things. A lot of children now, their home management skills are close to zero because they wake up so everything is happening so fast. They need to quickly go to school. They need to do this. It's like if the system had forced people to move in a certain direction. But now the system is, oh yeah, let's see who you are. So this is a time for a father to be in the house, mother to be in the house, and children are in the house for a week.
So I think what you
So
said.
it's not just a thing of the school. This is a chance for the school. Any school that has tools and connection tools to connect to the home. Yeah, send some assignments, send some stuff. But this time is the time is on
For
the
you to
parents.
even know your children,
Know your children, know yourself.
yourself, and
As
even
a
your
man,
wife,
and your wife,
or your
all
husband.
of you are in the house now. We die here together. We stay here together.
So I
we survive
think
together.
with what you've said, instead of lamenting, instead of shouting, instead of making some unnecessary noise, why don't you sit at home, settle yourself, discover yourself? If you're an author, you can start writing.
Yeah.
Maybe for some time you've been, for someone like myself, I've started writing a book on public speaking already because of this time. And since I won't be coming to work tomorrow, I should write this number of pages. As an author, if you're a programmer, you can start doing your programming. If you are a software builder, start something. You are at home and you have your tools in your hand. So stop lamenting, make good use of this time. For those that are looking at us, what are the most promising businesses for people to go into during this particular time to fetch money? They say every time when someone is crying, someone is laughing. And that's one of the analogies they make is when you have someone that dies in your family, the person selling the coffin is happy because it's going to make sales. So now we are inside this particular problem, and thank God, God is helping us with the problem in a country like Nigeria. Yesterday, New York recorded 30,000 cases out of the more than 50,000 cases in the United States. And in Nigeria here, you can see that it is not going from 50. We are like most people, they just wake up to go and see the figures. But it seems those people are becoming, those cynics, they are becoming disappointed in the figures. It's not rising the way they think it will rise. We are a bit stable and we've discharged like 2 people. That means this time is a time for some people. What are the options for us, for people, for business like minds to leverage on in this trying time?
Well, opportunities, if you look at what can people do at this time. I mean, that's why I have said what I don't think we should be thinking completely in terms of
Shutting down.
shutdowns. If you shut down and lock down completely, it will make some flexibility to be virtually impossible. Fine if we get there, and some people have criticized the government's response to this thing that they should have locked down earlier, they should have shut down earlier. I personally don't think so. I think generally, with all the resources on ground, I would think the government has calibrated its decisions.
They were circumspect enough.
Yes, they were calibrated. They were
Gradually
moving based on the facts on ground because shutdown have costs. You shut people down, it will have impact on a lot of things beyond the health sector. So if you can do it in a manner that you roll forward gradually, it will make a lot of sense. So pending when we have a complete lockdown kind of thing, one could be looking at what people still need. I still see somebody cooking in his house, delivering it to people because people will be needing food. So there are some people that are not used to cooking and they will still need food. There are lots of products and services that you can still be advertising on your WhatsApp groups and getting people to know it. You can still get some services
You can run trainings.
You can run trainings, you can run webinars and trainings online for people that need it. So we should be discussing more. Let the government and the health experts deal with what they need to deal with. They give us the regulations, don't go out at this time, go out up to this extent. And we should be focused on how to optimize our productivity within the limits of the instructions that the
I think
government and the health
they've
sector
given.
is giving us.
I think with what you've said, if what just came to my mind is you can start taking online courses. Maybe you want to run this particular thing online. You can start taking online courses so that all of us mentally we can be refurbished mentally. That once this is over, you've acquired 2, 3 certificates, and you now have the knowledge to now do this, so that we can boom once this is back. And we should know nothing is entirely wasteful in itself. This time has come is a trying time for the entire world, but we should maximize the things we can maximize in this. And I think that is the message. We'll be going for a short break now, and when we come back, we continue to discuss the implications for some key sectors. This is your program, The Review. Stay glued to your screen until we come back from this short break. Thank you. Welcome from the break. Engineer Jibril, one key thing that came to mind is you were trying to tell us some positive things we can see during this time and things to leverage on. And what came to mind is this time also avails you a time. You mentioned the other time to know yourself, know your spouse, know your children. This gives you a special time also, like in a country like Nigeria that they say is the God's. We have lots of worshippers basically in Nigeria. It gives you an opportunity not to think going to the church is what brings you closer to God in the real part of it. You can commune with Him directly. You don't need to go to the mosque. You can commune with God directly. What do you see in terms of the devotedness of people to God in this trying time?
Well, the pandemic has shown how powerless man is in front of God. It has shown how the smallest of things
Can affect us.
can shut down the biggest of things by God's leave. So I think you see shots or images of places in Italy, places that were rather going ungodly, as in atheists kind of thing, now begging that God, where is your help, kind of thing.
So we can be this helpless.
Yeah, so we can be this helpless so quickly and so seriously. So I see this time as really a reminder to people to reevaluate their relationship with their Creator. And one particularly interesting thing is that a lot of times going to mosques or going to churches or going to places of worship has that communal kind of support.
Yes.
So you might not really know who you are because you go to mosque because everybody around you is going to the mosque. This is a chance now for you to say, Adhan are even not called as often as they used to be called. So this is a chance that will test if you truly inside you, what's your own current worth. And however low you drop is just a reality check. It just tells you that's where you are. It's not so much of good and bad. It's more of that's where you are. How do you scale up your relationship
How do you get better
with your Creator? It's really an interesting time for people to do a lot of self introspection,
Meditation.
and stuff. Because before now, the society was moving so fast. You hear people saying things like 24 hours is no more enough for me. It looks like everything is so fast. I don't have time for this. Now you have all the time for all these things.
When you mentioned that the life was moving so fast, we're not getting enough rest. But now, stay home, get enough rest.
You can start selling rest.
You
You have so much rest, you can start
You
selling.
can. So it's. I think we should just. We know we are in a problem because it's costing life, and thank God, the number of people that have recovered from this, it's already in 100,000 people. So it shows to us that it is not a direct death sentence for the person that contracts this. So we can begin to also see some positive sides to it, since we can say, I think like the president of Iran, the day this happened and he got to Iran, he said in 3 days it will be over. But later he said we are looking at maybe probably the end of April, and nobody is certain about that. So that's why we are trying to explore as much as possible the positive sides to what we are doing and the gains that can also be made from what is happening. So instead of just sitting, you can take rest, you can make sense of your life, and you can even start to set a new path for your life. I think after this is what I want to go into, this is what I want to leave behind, and the rest.
Actually, a lot of individuals and a lot of economies and system will be resetted after this program. A lot of things will change.
We
When
not
by the time
remain
you
the same.
come back, a lot of things will not be where they were left. There are nations, like even the global world order with respect to the financial system, the transport system, some of these things would really come in. Every nation would need to recalibrate where exactly am I heading. Because if you look at the decay, so to say, infrastructure decay that has been exposed by this thing in a place like Nigeria, might make governments to be
buckle
more
down.
serious about investing in some of these things. And if it doesn't, it might make more entrepreneurs to see that, look, this is the scale of gap that is in these industries, and people can start exploring it. And lastly, I think I'm hoping that a lot more people would realize the fact that the society, the 21st century, a lot more people would know the meaning of the internet and its power going forward. Because a lot of business that were not able to operate on the internet would see the impact of not being internet ready, and hopefully more and more businesses will be more forward looking, and more individuals will create solutions that helps people. So I think things will change. We will see new things after this whole
I think this is a natural reset for what we have already, and definitely things will not remain the same, because I just look forward to, in the next 20, 30 years, myself sharing this with my children, that there was a time churches were locked, mosques were locked, and everything was like this. I'm sure the move, and it's something historic, that it's in our century, it's in our time, this is happening, because we do not have any direct trace that it happened around the world like this before. Thank you very much, Engineer Jubril, for being on the review. Thank you. We hope
Thank
next
you for
time we'll invite you, you honor our invitation.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much. I'm very sure you've been able to make a sense out of what is actually happening, and a sense also in your preparedness for when this gets over with, and also how you can also make a sense of what you can plan for employers, employees, individuals, countries, and the entire world at large. We'll be coming again next time. We'll be meeting, and we'll be picking some other angles and some other perspectives to this particular issue. And this remains the review, and I remain your host, Sahid Aiboka. I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much.